experience as a coaster enthusiast. And with 2018 winding down within the next few weeks, it's about time I share with you all my personal favorite roller coasters of 2018. There's no rhyme or reason in which these coasters are presented. It's just my way of giving recognition to coasters that I enjoyed the most. So without further ado, these are my personal favorite roller coasters of 2018. Let's start with the best one of the bunch. Steel Vengeance, or as I like to call it, the Holy Grail of RMC. This coaster has every single thing I love about roller coasters. Steep drops, airtime, inversions, smooth sailing, and a really fun layout that I just can't get enough of. By far, riding this thing in row 11 at nights is awesome! Oh man, this thing is awesome. I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. As a fan of RMC, this tops all RMCs I have ever been on. Mark my words, this is the best roller coaster I've ever been on, and it's gonna be that way for a long time. Maverick. If it weren't for Steel Vengeance, you would still be my #1 coaster. But still, you are a strong #2 coaster for sure. Because Maverick is just adrenaline from beginning to end. From the first overbank drop to the tunnel with a launch, it is awesome. I love it. It's crazy. And it really is fun and thrilling. It is great as a thrill ride, it's great as a roller coaster. Really, size and heights don't really matter as long as you have a great roller coaster, and really, Maverick is the one that breaks that tall coaster, fast coaster rule. It's great at what it does, and I love it. I love it a lot. Raptor, you have been the missing piece of the B&M invert lineup. You are the best B&M invert I have ever been on. The back seat on this thing is awesome. Throws you around like a rag doll. Just pulls the G's on you every which way you can. And really gives you that good adrenaline push. I love it a lot. And I love it a lot. And it really just tells me that I really enjoy old B&M inverts over the newer B&M inverts. If it's between Banshee and Raptor, Raptor beats it all the way. Every single time. This thing is just great, awesome, forceful. Man, this thing is awesome. And I just can't enjoy it enough. You should ride this roller coaster if you're a B&M invert fan. This thing is awesome. Really awesome. One of the things I really enjoy about Time Traveler is that you're going to have a different experience no matter where you sit on this roller coaster. Whether you be in the front, back, or middle, you're going to have something different each time, and with that also comes various ways of getting air on the first 90-degree drop. I mean, I had sideways air, backwards air, and perhaps semi-sideways, semi-back air. I mean, it's pretty interesting. It kind of gets me for a loop for a bit. And especially the loop of the roller coaster is really cool if you get to ride that thing just sideways. You see yourself going through that whole loop upside down. It's freaky but fun at the same time. And really, that's the best way I would describe Time Traveler. It's really fun. It's a really fun roller coaster, but it's not exactly thrilling in my tastes. I'd say the best coaster in the park for that is Outlaw Run. And really, that's my type of coaster in general, but I'd say if you're really into spinning coasters, have fun, and perhaps mild thrills, this coaster really is for you. I will say this is the best spinning coaster I've ever been on, but to me it's not the best coaster in SDC. Sorry. While this coaster is also not so aggressive on thrills, it provides a whole lot of theming and enjoyment to the ride that I wouldn't have in any other coaster my whole time in 2018. To be honest, I almost felt like this was the Baby Driver coaster. I was able to be Mr. Baby Driver for a few minutes, listening to bell bottoms while driving around the park, going through various cars, places, and movie sets, and it was really fun, really interesting, and almost made me think about what it was like when Paramount had Kings Island. Just getting a small glimpse of what that could have been. But if you're really interested into something as small and fun as that, go check it out. I really recommend it. It's fun, interesting, and I just like small bits of theming here and there. That's all.
The explosion.
Banshee's an interesting case into the realm of new B&M inverts. To be fair, I've often placed B&M inverts into something that's a bit more compact, a bit more forceful, something that can really pull you when you're in the back seat and have a whole lot of fun just whipping you around the track. But with this B&M invert, it's a little bit different. You see, the elements on this coaster are a bit more spread out than I would have expected, making the roller coaster a bit more graceful, a little more relaxed than I usually thought it would be. There's nothing wrong with that at all, it's just different. I just like noticing different things, and it was just interesting to notice. But still, this roller coaster has a lot of fun elements, including the loop that goes through the lift hill, that zero-G roll near the end of it is pretty neat. And especially the pretzel loop going that brings you down and brings it back, that's pretty neat. I'll give it that much. But in the realms of B&M inverts that I've had before, it's up there. I'd say it's not the top one, but it's up there. I'll give it that much. Invertigo. It's about time I rode a good boomerang for once. By far, Invertigo is the best boomerang roller coaster I've ever experienced. It's about time I got into one. I'm glad that this thing is pretty nice, pretty smooth. I enjoyed it a lot. It's pretty nice, it's pretty fun, and I'd say as they keep on taking down boomerangs, I just want you guys just to keep that one. Just keep that one for goodness sake. Just keep it there. It's good, it's nice. Yeah, and it brings a good mid-card to the Kings Island lineup. I'll give it that much. Well, this is certainly better than Iron Dragon at Cedar Point. That really was a fun roller coaster to experience. It was perhaps the best suspended coaster I've ever been on by an aero suspended coaster, and really it's an interesting model to experience a few times now and again. Just nice to have those cars whip back and forth through the several banks, so that way you're just flying through the trees, flying through the woods. Just have a whole lot of fun time. I also remember that when I actually wrote the bat, a bug from the woods splattered on my eye. Not fun, but regardless, it's a fun experience, different experience. I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. Diamondback was my first ever B&M hypercoaster to ever experience. I gotta say, I quite like it. The coaster itself is a bit more focused on airtime than it would be on positive Gs, and with that respect, it does a really good job at it. Really good job at it. There are plenty of times I was outside of my seat throughout most of the time, and I'd say the dips and dives on each show were pretty nice. They're pretty nice to begin with. And I also really like it that it has that splashdown at the end. That those who aren't able to ride the coaster or are just passing underneath it get a nice little show. A nice little show. Kind of makes things nice and fun for a bit. Yeah, kind of adds a nice little aesthetic to Kings Island here and there. It's pretty neat. I'll give it that. At the same time, it also introduced me into the B&M Rattle, but really that's nothing to be really concerned with. And I also learned a bit more about how these coasters run in the first place thanks to Christopher Warner, so yeah, it's pretty fun and intense B&M Hyper. Now, I'm sure that some of you might be surprised that I put this roller coaster on this list. But to those who don't like it, I have to say, you can have a really good ride experience on Racer so long as you know where to sit on the roller coaster. The Racer roller coaster has 3 rows and a PTC roller coaster car. And the reels on the coaster car is going to be on the first row and on the third row. Those are the areas you're going to have more shaking, jobbling, and have a more rough ride because you're going to have wheels interacting with the track during that section. But if you sit in the middle row, the second row of that car, you're going to have no wheels underneath you, and thus the ride experience is going to be a whole lot smoother. It's going to make the ride a whole lot better, a lot more fun, and a lot more enjoyable. I mean, that's what I did when I came to Kings Island. I rode the second to last row of each train because there was no wheels under it. And with no wheels, had a smoother ride and a much more enjoyable ride that I ever would have on that roller coaster if I was on the third and first rows of that car train. And that's why I put it on this list. If you're ever riding it on that second row, you have a fun time. You have an enjoyable ride. You really enjoy it a lot. And you have the same thing, we go for the Beast too. Just sit in the second to last row, and you're pure gold. So I'll admit that the first time I rode Vortex, I wasn't too keen on the coaster. I know it was very old, and it was perhaps one of the last remnants of the Aero Coast and Blooper roller coaster in existence, but as I kept riding and riding it, I just got more into it. It's more or less it's the same thing you would do for Racer, is that you have to ride it a specific way to really enjoy it a lot. And perhaps the best way of riding this thing is in the 11th row. I did that with Christopher Warner multiple times, and yeah, it's kind of neat to ride a roller coaster that wasn't made by a computer-generated track at all. It was all bent by hand and eye on site, and I have to say, it's a nice historic roller coaster for a nice park, and I'd like to see it stay there, no matter what. It's a really nice roller coaster for the ages, and yeah, if you ever get the chance to ride it, do it. Much of the feelings I have about Vortex could also be expressed in Cedar Point's Aero Looper, the Corkscrew roller coaster. While smaller and not as fast as great as Vortex is, I'd say that Corkscrew is a nice roller coaster to experience some old school thrills. It's nice to see you go through the loop and actually ride the corkscrews onto the midways. It's pretty neat, I'll give it that much. I don't expect it to be the best coaster in the park, but then again, it's not too terrible either. I'd say if you have the time and just want to have a small fun little ride, Corkscrew's the way to go. Rougarou, or as I used to call it some time ago, Rougarou. This was my first B&M floorless coaster, and yeah, it's still fun. Kinda wished I rode it when it was Mantis back then, but oh well, times have happened, things have changed, and here we are. I'd say the layout of itself is just, yeah, fun. It's just the nice typical B&M forces and experiences, and yeah, it's a nice little intro into the floorless community. Although I would like to see how the other floorless coasters will be stacking up to this one. Seems like this one's the smallest one of the bunch, but I'll just have to wait and see. Valravn was my introduction into the B&M dive coaster, and to be honest, I think this coaster gets a little more hate than it deserves. I'd say the coaster is really fun, really nice to experience. It's still pretty forceful for a B&M dive coaster, but I understand why people don't enjoy it as much. I'd say it's one smaller than most. Cedar Point had to work with the land that they had, and with that, they did a pretty good job of what they could have done. So I understand it's not probably the best model I've ever experienced, and for me, I really don't expect it to be that way. I'd say it's a good coaster, a good introduction, and I'd like to see what other dive coasters are like, thanks to my experience with Valravn. To me, Wicked Twister is a weird coaster, but a good weird coaster. This shuttle loop coaster is really giving me a fun experience of going back and forth, looking up at the sky, in other words, looking down at the ground. It's pretty neat. I'll give it that much. It's a really nice coaster for Cedar Point to have. It's pretty unique, pretty interesting, and I'm glad I really got to ride this coaster a lot. It's pretty neat, it's pretty nice, and I'd say if there was a ranking that I would have for Cedar Point, I'd say I'd give it in the top 5. I'd say I would give it a top 5 rating at this point. But yeah, it's pretty neat to experience that, and I can't say much more about it. It's weird but fun. That's really just the main gist of it.
On the backlot. Once again, please do not stand on the backlot. Thank you.
And those are my personal favorite roller coasters of 2018. But please don't take my word just for it. Go out and ride these roller coasters yourselves. Experience them for yourself. Really draw your own thoughts and opinions about these roller coasters and what you think of them. I highly encourage you to ride as many roller coasters as you can, as that's really going to give you the best idea of what roller coasters you love and why you love them. That's all I have to say about that. So, thank you for sticking around. Those are my personal favorite roller coasters for 2018, and I'll see you in the next video, winding the whole year one of coaster season. See you later. See ya.